Well, here we are. It's Friday. Let's see, April 29th. Hard to believe. It's almost the end of the month. We're heading into May. And a lot's been going on this week. As you know, we did a number of extra videos this week. We did a video on the upcoming Skinner sale of the Dixon collection of Oriental rugs. In the sale are some great Chinese rugs. If you haven't seen the video yet, check it out. It's worth looking at, I think. Some great pieces in there. It's an interesting auction. And we also did a sort of a quick preview yesterday of the sale that took place today in Hong Kong. The series of auctions. It's some interesting things. The results are in, and I've gone through it. We're going to do a video on it next week. Just as a heads up, the Chinese soapstone seal of the dragons that had belonged to Chinlung brought 18 million Hong Kong dollars, which is about 2.5 million or so U.S. The sale did very well. And some of the things did great. Some of the things didn't sell. It's the typical, mix that you get when you have that many things in these high prices, high estimates going in. And we'll talk about them next week. We'll put together the results and go through it and see how it looked. Also this week for the global member page users, we did an extra video there for those users on an upcoming sale at Doyle's. I thought was very interesting. Some excellent pieces in there. Very interesting. Other things that are happening, the NATO sale is taking place tomorrow, and in it is this, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, is this massive Kangxi charger, 19 inches in diameter, has got this nice thick heavy foot rim on the back, and this is a molded example, a big one. And it's got an estimate of $500 to $1,000, and it's got 21 hours before the sale starts. And so far, I don't see a lot of bids on it. I suspect it'll do well. Should bring 2,000 or 3,000. We'll see. We'll see how it does. We'll check back later. All right. Other things that happened during the week was this. This sale took place just a week ago on last Friday, this is at Wealthier Art and Auctions, and this plate went for just $100. And it looks to me, I think somebody got a heck of a good buy, if it's what it appears to be. It appears to be a really good Republic period plate, saucer, or an oil dish, as they sometimes refer to them, with these flat bottoms. It's done very much in the style of the best of the Republic period artists. And there's a number there are several very fine, well-known Republican painters that painted exactly in this manner. And I think somebody might have done some homework on it and gotten themselves a good buy. So we're kind of surprised to see that. Like I said, always leave a bid. All right. And then somebody left bids on this. They left a number of bids that sold for $10,000. This was at I think this was Stair, right? Stair Gallery. Had a set of these, 6 of these extraordinarily pretty Femi-Vert, early 19th century, probably Jiajing period dishes. These were beautiful. They were a set. All of them were different. They were all painted like different landscapes and so forth. Some had, it might have been an assembled set because 3 of these have borders, 3 of them don't. But boy, were they beautifully painted, and they look great together. And this lot went for $10,000. Against a $3,000 to $5,000 estimate, but really pretty, very unusual, and somebody loved them. A number of people loved them, obviously. And then this I think was one of the great buys of the week. I don't know how much people, maybe all don't follow it that much, but Anglo-Indian furniture was made sort of along the same lines that they made furniture in China for the West. They also made furniture in India famously for the West. There's a couple of great books out on the subject. And this is a desk from the Bombay School that was at Tremont Auctions outside of Boston, near here. And I thought the estimate was very reasonable, $800 to $1,200. I thought it was actually very, very low. And this is a meticulously carved piece of furniture with a red marble or red granite top, rather. and beautifully done all the way down. Lots of detail, the figures for creating the legs, all chip carved. Really, really something. Done probably about 1850 to 1880. Ended up selling for just $750. And if this had sold for $4,000, I wouldn't have been the least bit surprised. Somebody got an absolutely fabulous buy on this piece of furniture. Absolutely great. The hassle is, of course, if you don't live near the Boston area, getting it shipped was going to be expensive, no doubt about it. But if you were in the New York, Boston area and you could arrange to pick it up, this was a great buy. It's the kind of thing that interior decorators or a designer, were they to see it, would probably pay $5,000 to $7,000 to have it for a client, because it's such a statement. All right, and just amazing. And then this was at Brunk's, and I actually had 3 inquiries on the identification service about this bowl, this sensor. It was done, and it was done in the transitional style, clearly. All right, but I told everybody that this to me is a 19th century bowl. It looks like a revival piece to me. It's very nicely done. It's beautifully done. There's the interior of it. A lot of orange peel around in there, like you see on early 19th century pieces. It had a chin lung mark sort of stylized onto the bottom. It isn't done quite right, but close enough for hand grenades. But so this was not a transitional piece. It was either an 18th or 19th century piece, probably early 19th century. Great quality. And interesting subject matter. And immortals are always interesting on porcelain. People like them. And it blew away the estimate at 1 to 2,000 and went for 5,500. All right. And they also had this. This was one of the pieces that I recommended to a couple of people. They were asking me what I thought I liked in the Brunk sales a lot, and I thought this could be the best buy of the day if it goes for anywhere near that estimate. Absolutely wonderful 18th century celadon ground, cobalt blue relief work, but really great detail, fine quality cobalt, beautifully decorated, nice glaze on it, and it was in good shape all the way around. I didn't see any cracks in it, I didn't see anything wrong with it. It's got these very elegantly done lion mask handles on the side. The glaze is perfectly even all the way through. It was a great looking thing, and here's the bottom of it. Very much an 18th century foot rim, and ended up selling for $10,000, which not a big surprise. It could have brought even more. There was one not too dissimilar from this one that sold. I'm trying to think where we saw it. It was on here maybe 8 months ago. Very similar vase, not identical, but quite similar, and I think it brought 14,000. 14 or 15,000, as I recall. And then the shrimp dishes. And as you know, shrimp dishes typically sell for $300 or $400 a piece. But these were armorial, and they had the crests in the middle, which made them very unusual. And the crest was repeated on this one and on this one, but they had different scenes. This one is a female characters seated in landscape, enjoying the day, doing social pursuits and contemplating and so forth. And then this one had the silk balls running around it. Very interesting pair of shrimp dishes, highly unusual for export, and they did fine. They ended up selling for $1,400 plus the buyer's premium. Quite nice. And then the Guangzhou Marken period cobalt ground bowl with the gilding on it. Just a beautiful piece of porcelain. It was wonderful. But we had a number of inquiries about this. I liked it a great deal, and I thought the estimate was extremely low. And in the end, it was extremely low. One of the things that was sort of curious about this was that the mark on the bottom is this antique Chinese porcelain deep dish, blue background, dragons, marked Daoguan, okay? And this isn't, in case you're curious or confused, this is not a Daoguan mark. That's a Guangzhou mark. And whoever went to the trouble of typing this up misread, or whenever they looked up the marks, they completely misread that. But regardless, the plate brought $6,000 plus the premium, so you're up around $7,000 or $8,000 by the time you're all in and done. But very unusual, and this was a big plate. It was over 13 inches, so it was technically a charger, and that makes it even more interesting. All right, and then on to this. This was like one of the bargains of the day, in my opinion. This vase was 5 feet tall, an enormous piece of Japanese amari. It had a crack in the body, which could be stabilized. It doesn't seem to be all that noticeable, but a beautifully done piece of Meiji amari, an export piece clearly, but enormous, very, very big, on a nice wooden stand. And somebody picked it up for $450 on just a couple of bids. It got two bids, and that was it. All right, it started at 400, closed at 450 after two bids. And if you're an Amari buyer, that was a great buy, because this could be a spectacular piece to put in a hallway. A lot of bang for the buck, and the crack could be stabilized. You can eject. There are glues you can inject in there, crazy glue, that kind of thing, and it'll stabilize the crack, and you don't have to worry about it, and you can enjoy it, and you got a great thing for very little money. All right. And then on to this. This was the one thing that I think one of the things they misidentified. They identified this as Chinese. This carved basket woven water pot and tray. This isn't Chinese, it's Japanese. But, and a lot of you know that, I'm sure, but it was very, very nicely carved. Beautiful set, absolutely beautiful, probably Meiji period from what I'm seeing. Nice surface, good looking age. Love the bamboo leaves on it. Love the little water pot. Nicely, nicely done. And somebody picked this up for just $300. That was a great buy. And I think if it had been advertised as Japanese, it probably would have brought $700 or $800. But any Chinese buyer looking at this is going to say it's not Chinese and move on. And the Japanese buyers may miss it because it's listed as Chinese. So you sort of might have shot themselves in the foot here a little bit. And then one of the bigger lots of the day that sold very, very well. It was estimated extremely low at $1,000 to $2,000. This Fending, based on, this is a form. This shape is based on a Shang Dynasty type of bronze, archaic bronze, but this is of course a later Ming to early Qing gilt. Decorated example, nice bronze patina, and it had a beautiful stand. The stand and lid for this thing were absolutely wonderful, and they have a lot to do with the value of these things also. But it had a great profile. It was in good condition. The lid was really spectacular, and it may have been Zitan wood from what I'm seeing. All right, this looks like quite possibly Zitan. And it ended up selling for $24,000. A lot of interest in that, but very unusual, very, very unusual. 8 inches tall, all that stuff, but a beautifully done example. And that's it. And the gilt bronzes, as everybody knows, they always bring more money. They always do very, very well. And then mosey on over to what happened on the newsletter page this week, the things that we find that we share with folks that we pick up on eBay each week. There were some pretty good results. There were some pretty strong results. There were a number of good things on here that we liked a great deal. I thought there was a pretty good selection last week, so I hope you check it every week. One of the things, let's see here. There we go. This Fitzhugh platter. This was from Old Bostonian. He's a dealer here in the Boston area. And he had a bunch of Fitzhugh blue and white export pieces come in that were for sale. And whoops, what happened to it? Hold on a second. Oh, we lost the page. Oh, well. Anyway, that Fitzhugh platter and all the other things did quite well. That plate, let's see if we can get back to it. Hold on. It was down here. There it is. I wonder why that blew out like that. Disappeared right off the screen. Brought $271. There it is. All right, and I was going to say 280 for, there it is. This is a really nice piece of Fitzhugh. Beautifully done with a Nanking border, very fine detail, good shading, all that. And these Fitzhugh plates and these Nanking plates, I think, are absolute bargains in today's market. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. if you're interested in buying top quality Chinese decorated porcelain, and you can't afford to buy the Chinese domestic market porcelains, look at these export wares. They are just ridiculously undervalued. Were this an 18th century Qinlong plate made for the Chinese domestic market in this quality were to be for sale, it would have brought probably $3,000 to $5,000. This brought $271, which I think is just a crazy price, crazy low price. And the same thing goes for tureens and all these other pieces. The workmanship on these were certainly equal to a lot of pieces that bear Chinese rain marks. Put it that way for the 18th and 19th century. This was a nice platter, $271. Who could, how can you beat that? And then here's our horse. So this sold. This was for sale up here on here a couple of weeks ago. Downsize was selling this. And it ended up selling for $288 a few weeks ago. And I commented on it. I said, I think that was a great buy, way under the money, good deal. And for some weird reason, the buyer at that time didn't pay for it, apparently. And that was it. And so the seller took the chance and relisted it, which is, as we know, is not always get the best results. Sometimes you get significantly less than the first time around because people come back and say, well, gee, why didn't the guy pay for it? And they get doubts in their head, and playing it safe, they skip it. This guy put it back up. We talked about it a bit. I thought this was a wonderful painting. And this time around, it brought $525. So it went up in price by several $100s, just like that. I think $525 was absolutely fine for this. I think $800 or $1,000 would absolutely be fine for this. This is a good old fan painting, probably 17th century, wonderfully done. And all it needs is as I've said before, whoever buys it, throw this out. Don't use this. This is sort of acidy looking, and you want to put a new back on it. And this isn't essential. This is just a backing. But that was a great buy. That was a very nice piece of art. And this was a nice thing too. This was Great Lakes Antiquing. And they had a number of things up for sale. Some of them, you recall, we're going to go through them. They came from the Cavern sale and the Perry collection. And there was this bronze that he sold, Huform bronze. Nice bronze. Beautifully done, lots of detail, like the handles, like the lappets running down here, and all this business, all this extra work. And the color of the bronze was excellent. The color was very, very warm, very, very nice, good detail, 18th century or so, and just beautifully done all the way through. Here's the bottom of it, and ended up selling for $1,320. Which isn't bad. That was a good price because it was a nice bronze. How tall was this thing? 9.5 inches. So it was right in the range that most of them are. Sometimes you see them are a little bigger. They're 15 or so inches, but not always. And then the bamboo, brush pot rather, libation cup. This came from the Roger Cavern sale a few months ago. I don't remember what it brought there. But here it brought $2,654. But you can always go back and check and see if the seller made money or lost money on it, if it matters to you. It doesn't to me. The market is the market, whatever it is in any given week. And you don't always buy things and sell them for a profit. But this was a very attractive piece of bamboo. Really nice quality, beautifully done, and good on whoever bought it. I love stuff like that. I love carved wood. Love that kind of material. And then the overlaid snuff bottle, the green, red, and blue overlaid snuff bottle from the Cavern sale was offered. And how did it do in the end? About $3,363. It was at $2,000 or so last week, and it took about $1,000 jump at the end, and there it is. All right. And then also he had this, the pair of 18th century Beijing enamel on copper. Dragon dishes. These are small. They're 3 or 4 inches in diameter each. They look to be in quite good condition. And these were in a lot, I believe, in the Cavern sale or the Perry sale. One of them. I remember they were displayed with I remember the picture of them, but I don't remember which sale it was in. Hold on. Was it Cavern or Perry? Perry collection, okay. And they were depicted. Oh, there's the catalog. Here it is, and this is it. They were depicted with several other objects. Here they all are. Here it was lot 104 in the Perry collection, and this time around they did pretty well. They ended up selling for $1,305 for the two of them, which is a very good price. But the subject matter on this was unusual. It wasn't the more typical sort of European subjects or just famille rose subjects, which can be very, very attractive, but they're not rare. But with dragons and done in this style and very densely decorated, makes them rather interesting. And I think that's why they brought the higher price. And then over to this. This was a nice thing. It was kind of banged up. It was a little rough. There was a little bit of wear to the glaze. The decoration was nipped away. There was a little bit of fritting around the edge. But what was interesting is that this is a twin-handled, double-ended Kangxi period sauce boat. A pretty unusual form for that period. They didn't do a lot of sort of Western form export pieces during the Kangxi period. They did a bit of it, but nowhere near what they were doing 40 years later. And here it is. And it obviously has been used. It was used for probably centuries. And in the end, it sold for $406, which was fine. It had an old repair to one of the handles, but an interesting relic, an interesting thing from early in the China trade period. Really was. All right. And it's sort of a museum thing, to show the start of custom porcelains for the European market. And then the Islamic or Indian market bowl with the early to mid 19th century with the flowers on them, serrated leaf flowers. This was very attractive. It wasn't a huge bowl, 6 3/4 inches, but because of this decoration here and the obvious aspect that it was intended either for the Indian or the Muslim market, it did quite well. It brought, without that decoration, it was just flowers and so forth, 6 inches, the bowl would have been worth probably around $175 to $220. But these flowers added another 40% onto the price, in my opinion. And in the end, it did fine, about $355. Sometimes they even bring more than that when they're a little bit even more elaborate. And then this Millefiori Republic period vase did really well. $4,950, nicely decorated though, very, very Republic. Nice, that Qinlong rain mark that became so popular during the Republic period. You'll notice here that this character, for example, comes down. It's like an upside down T. And they do appear on period Qinlong pieces. Somebody once said, well, if you see this, it probably isn't Qinlong. And it's true, but there are known examples of Qinlong vases that have this character aspect here. Instead of just being a vertical line, it was done like an upside down T. I have seen them. They've been in the auctions and so forth. But it's a fairly rare rendition of the mark. And this section here, this character here, the three prongs, is drawn wrong. All right, that's one of the reasons you know it's probably Republic, is that this first stroke down, this leg should be connecting and going over, not backwards, not going that way. This line comes down and then goes over and then comes down and goes over. This should come down above the halfway point, should be up higher, should be up in here. On the later copies, when they did them, they tended to split it almost evenly in the middle. And it was just one of those odd things. And it's a three-prong candelabrum. On this side, most of the time, the Qinlong examples, they're five-prong, but not always. So it's a little bit confusing. But when you look at the foot rim, this flattened foot rim, and the black outlining of the flowers and the way they're done, the style of the decoration, and so forth, you know right away it's a Republic example, and not from the 18th century. Anyway, it ended up selling for $4,950. And how big was this? It was pretty good size. Yeah, 13 inches. Yeah, it was good size. It wasn't a 5 or 6 inch vase. I remember. That's right. All right, and then over to this, the Putao carpet Chinese rug made around 1900. I love this. I actually I bought rugs like this for my children when they were little, and one of my sons, as a matter of fact, has this almost identical rug in his home. A nice looking carpet, good colors. You know, the blues on these never fade. Cobalt doesn't fade on wool very much at all. It doesn't fade. Other colors do. Yellows do, reds do, greens, they all tend to fade a bit, but not the blues. So you have this nice blue with a natural white wool background, beautifully done. And somebody picked this up for $296, which is fine. The prices on these have gone up though, because back in the years ago when I was picking these up, they were rarely more than $75 or $100. So the prices on these have risen. For a long time, these were not that popular. In the 80s and 90s, nobody wanted them. Now, things have changed. That's how it is. All right, and then this thing. This is a sander made for the export market. They sold it as, what do they advertise this as Kangxi period. I'm not certain it's Kangxi. To me, it looks more likely to be a little bit after that. Not much, but slightly out of the Kangxi period. It may be a little, it may be that age, but it's right on the edge. Some of this work, the way this flower's done and so forth, looks more Qianlong to me, early Qianlong than Kangxi period. It had a chip out of the foot right there, obviously. And regardless, it still did pretty well. It brought $278 with the damage. In perfect shape, these are pretty rare, and they can bring $1,000 to $1,500 because it's a rare form. And then on to this oh, dare I say it, tortoiseshell. A tortoiseshell fan, breeze fan, Chinese export, first half of the 19th century. You know, beautifully done, beautiful quality. We've had these before when they've turned up because I just love them. But fabulous quality. And they did a good job of showing any little flaws, nicks, and whatnot. All pretty minor stuff all the way around. It's sort of a quibble to make an issue of it because it is a fan. It was used. People did use these. They loved using them, and they were very, very elegant little bits of art. And, you know, it'd be nice to have a thing like that back then. I can see why people would have them. They could look at them and enjoy the quality of it, and it served a purpose. Ended up selling for $1,034 in the end. So the fan market rages on. And here was another fan that did very well. This was that silver and gilt fan with all the enamels on it. And these always do well. This is a fairly rare form, and this was a nice one. Again, first half of the 19th century, made for around the first half to the mid. But what's nice about this was, now I don't know if this is original to the box or not. That was the only question I had, because there's a little funny cutout here. This doesn't seem to align with this, and it's the Volong something or other. And to me, the fan looks older than the box. And I think maybe this was a marriage, as they say later, where they put the fan with a box. Because this fan looks like it was made around 1820 or 30, and this box looks like it was probably made sometime around 1850 or 60. So somebody might have put them together as a set. Anyway, the fan ended up selling for $1,915. Which is a good price, but they often bring that. In the past when we've seen them, they bring $1,600, $1,900. I think we saw one that brought 24. Some of you may remember 2,400, 2,500 a year or two ago. And here you have one that brought 1,900. And then on to this, the framed silk embroidery, probably mid-19th century, but beautiful quality. I think this was an excellent buy. Artistically, it's well composed. You have these rocky, like the Scholar's Rocks at the bottom. You have two phoenixes ascending, one pursuing the other, flying through flowers, and the flowers are all meticulously drawn. If you stop and look at these, always stop and look at the needlework and see how fine it is, how refined it is, how many different needlework techniques were used, that kind of thing, chain stitch, loop stitches, and all that business. And then how they did manage to do this shading of their colors. You have this very lovely, lovely celadon green, and then sort of a soft blue, and then a little different shade of blue, another shade of blue. Then you have a darker shade of green, lots of color, very cleverly composed, and even a little bit of light pink in the head. all the way through. Beautifully done. And the ground, this cocoa ground silk looks like it's in, or goldish brown silk looks like it's in great condition. At any rate, this ended up selling for $447, and that was it, framed, ready to go. And I think that was a super duper buy. And it was pretty good size. It was 71 centimeters by 33 centimeters. So it was around a foot tall going up and down, and then 71, 62 feet, about 28 inches long. So it was 28 by a foot. Pretty big piece of silk in beautiful condition, framed, ready to hang, and reasonable shipping. This guy was in the UK. Royal Mail shipping to here was just 22 pounds. I don't know how he can do that, really. That's amazing. Very reasonable shipping charges these days. If he had said it was 60 pounds, I wouldn't have been at all surprised. So that was a very good buy with good shipping rate. And then this Kangxi period dish, I had mentioned it a few weeks ago when it came up. I liked it. It had this Vajra decoration. It closed for last Friday. And I'm not sure if it had closed before or after I did the video, so I thought I'd just mention it again. This was a very nice example, and I think a very reasonable price, $253. I think that was a good buy for a fairly rare type of dish. It's not always about the size. When you look at old pieces, Kangxi pieces and whatnot, always keep in mind, it's the decoration, form, style, and size is the last consideration. Always consider the rarity and the beauty of the object, and how common or uncommon it is. This is a pretty uncommon looking dish, and I think this was a very fine buy for somebody. And it looked like it was in quite good shape all the way around from what I'm seeing and what I remember. But the decoration is, and also the enamels are all intact, and there was very little wear anywhere evident. So there you go. And then hopping along over to the next one was this small planter. He called it a fishbowl. It's actually a little planter. It's only about 9 inches tall. But very nice Femi-Vare decoration, 19th century. And I guess a lot of people really loved it. Ended up selling for $1,691. And this particular form was made in very small pieces, 5 or 6 inches tall, all the way up to very big, 18 or 20 inches tall, meant to put, well, originally they were made as fish tanks, and then when they started finding their way into the West, obviously they used them to put house plants in. I have a big one in Femi June in my own house. That's a very, very large one that we have a tree in, and they're perfect for putting trees in, and they grow all year long, and you get to have the porcelain having a purpose in life, which I think is important. And if you buy a planter, a Chinese porcelain planter or something, put a plant in it. It's the best way to do it. And then this was the 18th century lotus, pink lotus decorated dish. Thought this was very nice. These are always in demand. They made this form in this style in punch bowls and all different size plates and so forth. Ended up selling for $920. And this wasn't an enormous plate. It was fairly reasonable. It was like 8 inches. Yeah, 27 centimeters in size. So it's it's about 10 inches in diameter, roughly, a little over 10 inches. And did fine, $920. And then what else is going on? Well, we got some things coming up this week that'll be on the newsletter page. We haven't put them in yet, but by the time you get over there seeing this video, they'll be there. And we'll have also include, of course, the links for the 2 videos that we did earlier this week, plus this video. We'll work it out somehow. We can get 3 in there. We just had the time this week to do extra videos, so it was kind of fun. And there was enough going on that there was no trouble trying to think of something to focus on. This is something that's good that's on here right now. It's got 3 days to go, closes Tuesday. It'll be on the newsletter page. Very nice transitional jar with a much later lid, but nicely decorated, good cobalt decoration, good looking enamels, circa 1650, somewhere around there. And then there was this, come on, load up page, this Chinese export shell form dish. This is interesting. It closes on Monday. It's got some minor fritting and so forth, but the seller didn't date it. This is a Kangxi piece. This is a nice piece of Kangxi ware, and it's this shell form that we've all seen before. These are very well-known type. They typically sell for between $250 to $300, somewhere in there. Here's the back of it. You see this, that sort of curious variegated unglazed area, but that's how they did them. That's exactly how it should look. All right, when you see this, you know it's probably okay. And here's some more of the decoration blown up in here. The plate's in good condition. It's at $10. All right, so leave a bid on these things. Leave a bid. Always leave a bid. All right, because then you don't later say, oh, I should have bought that. And then this catagon or puzzle pot, as they're known in Celadon, with underglazed copper red decoration and underglazed copper cobalt blue here. Nice looking little pot. These normally sell. These usually finish somewhere in the $575, $600 range minimum, up to about $900. This one's at $52 right now. It closes Monday, and go over and hit that thing. Put $300 or $400 on it. There's no downside. All right, and then onto this Ming Lungquan Celadon vase is going to be in there. It looks pretty good. And then that plate we talked about last week, the one that I thought that was so nice. I thought this was absolutely great quality. It was a train wreck of a piece, though, is physically. And you can't. There's no way to put lipsticks on that pig, but it's got some it's got some significant cracks and damage to it and so forth, and it's got this horrifyingly bad repair over here, and everybody loves this plate. I've gotten several inquiries from it. I had this week. I think I had 5 inquiries about this plate because the quality of the decoration is so good. The quality. This is just absolutely beautiful, absolutely great quality. And despite the fact that this piece, you look at the back to get a real idea of how banged around this thing is, and it was obviously dropped, and dropped hard. But somebody loved it enough to put it all back together and pay to have somebody come and put staples in it and patch it up and do the best they could with it. It looks like they did the staple repair, then later it had more damage done to it. But regardless, and this is a big plate. It's just a little under 15 inches in diameter. Closes in a couple days, and it's up to $1,046, and it closes tomorrow. It closes tomorrow. So I'll be really curious to see how this does at the end, because it is just a beautiful thing, and it deserves, it deserves a home after what it's been through. Put it that way. And then this Sing Fat Chinese Dragon Cup. I don't think this is 1890s. This looks to me to be more likely work from 1915 or 1920. That said, very elegant looking thing. With the dragons going tail, up the side of the beaker, very nicely finished, beautiful relief work. If you look at the relief work, it looks quite good on it, and it's up to $187. It's got 3 hours to go. This closes today. This will be on there, but we'll see how it did. Okay, and then next, the 18th century vases with the relief work, flowers and vines at the top. Very, it's that pattern we see all the time, done around 1780 to 90, 1770, in there. Nice looking pair of vases. They're up to $634, and I think they were around 12 inches tall or 10 inches tall, 28 centimeters. So they're about 11 inches tall. There you go, a little over 11 inches tall. But nice looking. They look to be in pretty good shape. $634 is the current bid, and they have a day, and they close on Sunday at 7:57 a.m. Who the heck ends an auction at 7:57 a.m.? Well, it depends on where you are in the world, I guess. That's just where I am. And this is the seller in the UK, so it'll be, later in the day on Sunday. They're 6 hours ahead of us, 5 hours ahead of us. So there we are. All right, so there was a lot going on this week. As I said, we did the extra videos on for the global page users on some upcoming things we're going to be doing. We'll be doing every week. We do them for there now, and then we're going to be doing a video on the auction results at Sotheby's, and maybe another video next week on something else, and then the regular video at the end of the week. But it's gotten busy. There's a lot going on, and the way we have things set up now, we can do the videos more easily, and it's kind of helpful. All right, so thank you for subscribing. And oh, the other thing I want to mention, if you use the global pages, we are going to be expanding out the listings to include separate page. We're working on doing that right now because it's a little complicated. But we're going to have a page for things that somebody asked me about this, a couple of people have asked me about this, have one page that'll be for auctions in the U.S. only, and then have a separate page for things that are outside of the U.S., Canada, England, Italy, Australia, and all that, because we do have people that really only want to buy things that are located here in the U.S. or located in the EU, and this way you can split. We'll split them up for you, and then you can look a little more easily and not, find something. Oh, it's for sale in Australia, and you live in Toronto. Bit of a shipping issue there. And just make buying a little bit easier. But there's also, we kind of have to do it because there's so much stuff that's starting to turn up that we're finding that we like on the global pages, on the live auctioneers and BidSquare, that it's the best way to do it. All right, as it keeps the pages so they can load more efficiently, because when you have 1,000 things on a page or 1,500 items on one page, it gets a little crowded for the server trying to upload all of it, because it's done in real time and so forth. So there we are. All right. Have a great weekend. Thanks for subscribing. Leave a comment. Tell me what you are thinking. And suggestions are always listened to. Anything you want to suggest, we're happy to hear it. And subscribe to the global pages if you want a deeper dive each week on the videos, and you want to see more things that are for sale that you don't have to worry too much about because we've already looked at them. Go ahead and do that. And that's it. Have a wonderful weekend. Spring is kind of here. And get your gardens put in and do all that good stuff. All righty. And thanks again. Bye-bye.